Hi everyone. Today is November 19th. Okay, so Bitcoin is giving tough time, but it's frustrating, not tough time, but it's frustrating. Why? Because it has been a range bound, but that's good actually. Um, it's boring because there is no value it's able to offer unless one is very you go to very time lower time frame and try to extract something which is very hard to do usually. So if we look at this time frame, a 4 hours time frame, I opened up, and let's focus on the recent wave. So this is the low we know, right? And I think you focus on the lows and the highs. The wave is contracting, means compressing and narrowing down, as it's more like it's like a bigger triangle. So we may actually I may draw a line like this. So this is a lower edge, this is upper edge, roughly speaking. And this is high point, this is low point. So you see this is higher lows, higher lows. So the why I'm saying breakout is has to happen because there's no space left. Okay. What might happen is it if it breaks out, it breaks down and then it can wider, it can make the triangle wider. But let's assume that it doesn't make a new low from here, then we can expect it to break above. Oh, let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. uh, right. So with an assumption that it doesn't make new low, which low I'm talking about, this is the low boundary at this moment, right? If you look at it very carefully, right? This is low, this is low. Of course this is low, but this is more like another low. And then it's all. So this is more like a parent and then a child and then a child and child. So to speak. So it's like a hierarchy. Yeah. Right. So if it doesn't make new low, right? If it doesn't break below this, which is like let's say 16,500, then we can expect it to break out on the upside. So that's a condition. And I think our warning level is this, which is this low. Now this low is a reference point, but now we have two more lows as well in between. But I don't want to draw multiple lines, otherwise it will be a chaos. So it is always good to have. So let's say this is my warning line. Long back we had drawn much before this wave began, actually much before, it was somewhere here. So we haven't changed that much before. In fact, before it dipped, when it touched this, if you look at the left hand side, my arrow, this is where it touched for the first time. So I kept it. And then I had this low. So this is a range. And sometimes, so because you see how many lows it makes, this is low, 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 low. You cannot chase all this low. So what you have to do is you have to have a broad band like this, because it's like a range bound movement. And same thing with the upper side. This is your upper side and this is like secondary. So you see there are four key lines now, but in between you would see this is also high, this is also high, this is also high, but you cannot chase all these highs. So you have to have some reference point, otherwise it will be like a spaghetti all over the place. You end up drawing lines, and then it's meaningless. So the main thing is this is your upper bound and this is your lower bound, right? So the asset or the coin is going to consolidate in this range, right? So we have tried to add two more lines, but point is there can be so many lines. But the key thing is this is the ultimate level and this is the ultimate level, right? The upper bound and the lower bound. And in between, it's just playing around, right? So at this moment, it's just moving sideways like this. And let's say if it breaks, so you can say it could go all the way down. Why not? Because if you draw a line like this, then still it's a consolidation. So right now, when I draw this yellow triangle, it's for the current setup. But if it goes down, then what happens is the boundary widens. It doesn't violate. It violates only if the lower bound is broken or upper bound is broken. So it is very well possible that let's say it shoots up and let's say go up to this level. what happens? Then your triangle becomes a little bigger. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, it shoots up and stops somewhere here and then retraces. What will happen? You have to draw like this. So the point is, these lines that you see, the yellow lines, are just for, current reference. It they are not decisive ones. So whenever you draw a line at a certain angle, they are just for reference point for the current state. They are not for end state. And the horizontal lines are more reliable. And especially, you have to have a horizontal line like this on the top and the bottom. Got it? So because, as I said, there can be, peaks and, bounce, point of rejection and point of bounce could be anywhere in this space, and there is no rule. Okay. However, we are tracking and we are trying to connect as many line as possible at this moment. And then we are saying this is our range using trend line, and then expecting it to break above. So there has to be some kind of a result for sure in a matter of few hours, right? Any time within a day or so, because there's no space left. Now, so our expectation is to make a move. Like it made move here as well. So sometimes it's frustrating for someone that, hey, it was going nicely and then it was shot down. But what you have to tell yourself that, okay, yes, it was shot down, but did it make new low? Answer is no. So you shouldn't be worried, right? It's frustrating, as I said, or maybe boring as well, but it's not devastating because it hasn't violated anything here, which is not a threat. So sometimes we get panic for no reason, and it is just because our expectations are so high. So that's something very personal. I won't comment on it, but I think you got my message that when expectations are very high, even small correction like this becomes source of frustration. And when trader is frustrated, cannot think in a correct with a correct mindset, in my opinion. It's like loses that control and ability to take wise decision. So it's very important that expectation need to be in check, and probably go with the technical stat and ask question, as I said. So in a broad mind, if you don't go in a huge, great detail, what you could do is this is low. Is it coming close to the low, or is it moving away from the low? Simple question. Answer is moving away from the low, which is good. So as far as direction is concerned, it is trying to recover. The direction is up. The trend is down. Of course, the trend is down. When I talk about trend, it means a weekly trend or macro trend is down, of course. However, we are talking about the recovery from the June low, and the direction is up, right? It's moving sideways, but the point is it's making progress. That's why we're saying up. So I think I posted that traders should not focus too much on the path, because the path can be different. So this is your point A, right? Point B is your major resistance. That, let's say, this one, it already achieved this, but it has to break above. So because it retraced, so we expect it to touch it again. So this is your point B. So this is your point A. Point B was achieved, but because it retraced, we want it to hit it again, and then of course break above. So this is your point B. Now, so journey is between point A to point B. You see, so it has already hit this one, retraced, fine, but now it has to go back. So you cannot determine the path, and then the point C could be somewhere on the higher end. Now, so the expectation is from point A to point B and point B to point C, but not necessarily straight line, not necessarily the path you define. Path could be anything. So that's something I want to share this time. and explain through the chart. I hope you got it. And because this is one of the reasons why traders get frustrated a lot, that they try to predict the path, which is fine. I mean, you can attempt it, but not necessarily it will go in your way, right? As I said, I have this green arrow, but if it breaks below, I had to remove it, right? Because it's not that I know the future, but what I know is what might happen next, and then you readjust your drawings and lines and all, um, set up, and then say, okay, now, okay, this I wanted this, but it didn't happen. It dipped, so now the pattern change a bit, and so on. But those are like micro routes. That's only for understanding what is happening within. But if you are someone who doesn't have enough time and thinking a big picture, I think predicting path is not something one has to do. Simple, as I said, this is point A, ask question, is it moving away from point A? Answer is yes. That's big deal. Okay, that's enough. And then you see it is coming close to B, which is good news, slowly, but yeah, doing it. And then of course, point C. So not trying to predict the path is very difficult sometimes, unless you are paying a lot of attention and spending a lot of time, and sometimes it's useless. So as I said, these any lines at angles are totally unreliable. Those are only current references, not for any kind of predictability. They have very low predictability. The horizontal lines are much better. Right, but these are for references. These are reference lines. Okay, just for tracking. Okay, so I think you got to learn something, I believe, in this session, or whatever I explained through this example, that you'll find helpful. Now, what else? Yeah, so this is BTC. This is wait and watch game, right? You see, even volume is declining, which is good news. So we'll wait for it to break out. Now, yeah, we cannot do anything but to wait. We can now zoom out and see higher time frame. I think 4 hours was interesting. This is my drawings are too many. This is messy, too many squares. So maybe I'll hide it. So if we look at, it's a nice pennant. It's like a triangle shape. If you focus on the outer lines, outer edges, those big, right. So this is very important. And from a candle point of view, now we are focusing on a candle, right, at a 1 day time frame. So if this is low, this low is important, right? November 16th low is important, and of course this is the most important one. This is more like a pivot. This is more like a nail, which is like holding the string, so to speak. And this is the parent one. So this is like a parent one, and then this is a child, and everything is within this. If you see, this is a range, and then this is a wider range. So this is how it is developing. So yeah, there's no need to think about downside, absolutely, because it's not somewhere here. So I hope now it is clear. Yeah, if it comes here, then the pattern changes. Then what pattern it makes? Then it makes a descending triangle, which is devastating, you know. So if, let's say, now if you take a bearish scenario, then, and let's say consider this breaks down and comes to this one, and then you connect this. Right now, this particular layout is messy, but you can imagine you draw a stretch a line from here, and then draw a line, and then draw one horizontal line, which will give you descending triangle. In that case, then the probability of breakdown becomes very high, like 70-80% probability of breakdown, right? And then we are talking about 12K, 13K range. But not now, not at this stage. But yeah, this is weekly calls. It's better to cover that part as well. Okay, so this is BTC. And I was talking about looking through a couple of indicators. So have a look at M band, which are being worked on, which is showing nice consolidation. If you go to a low time frame, you see nice compression. So this is what you see, a big void when there's a big drop, and when you see less and less void, you see the band is also representing the wave, how it is narrowing down. You see, this is like a nail structure or whatever shape you want to imagine, except we won't imagine anything weird. I know you're laughing probably, but okay, I don't want to digress. But point is, and the focus on the endpoints. So what is happening is this is endpoints. It's this band is narrowing down. Band is narrowing down. So it has to make decision. So this it's not that TA knows the future, but TA knows the boundary. And TA says that if it breaks below this, then chance of going down is higher, and this is your boundary. So it's very important to understand the boundary. And that's why my alert is here saying BTC down. So simple. If it goes above, then BTC up. Right. So, but this indicator is also like a bit more visually. I mean, those who are not trained to the chart, this indicator will show you that how visually the wave is contracting, and that gives you the idea. Okay, so I think this M-band is pretty good. Um, you know, long-term point of view, 4-day, this is M2, still red for obvious reason, and it has to break about, it wants to break about 25K, then it will turn green. So this is for swing trading for long term, where it allows, so it turns blue somewhere here, because these are dynamic levels, not static level. They change as per the wave changes. So these are not fixed. Right? When the structure changes, the value changes. So at this moment when I'm recording, these are value, but the value would change. So just a disclaimer that you have to have this indicator, and you cannot take this screenshot and then use it, because these things are not fixed. I mean, these levels are not fixed. These are dynamic. Right. So, but at this moment, at the time of this recording, this is your first line of resistance zone, so to speak. So if you put together, then this is first resistance zone. If you put together, then this is second resistance zone. So this gives you the early indication that, okay, now it's ready to make a move on the upside. I'm talking about higher time frame. Okay, I'm talking about trend here, not a small movement. I'm talking about potential candidate for reversal, right? We're talking about starting a bull run in this on this level, not about small 5%, 10% movement. Okay, because there are some individuals who would be interested to ride the wave, right? Because I'm trying my best to educate and offer information which is good at a low time frame and a high time frame. So whatever I'm saying now is for those who are interested only on trend, who wants to say, okay, you know what, I started my trend, let's say in March 2020, and now my trend gets over in somewhere in Feb or March or May of 2021, right? Something like that. Okay, so for those kind of audience, and these are the levels, and so for them it's a waiting game. So yeah, because on a higher time frame, right? Uh, your wait time is higher, but at the same time, if you get a confirmation on high time frame, then the length of that trend is also longer, right? Because it takes time to take a turn or reversal, but once it reverses, it doesn't reverse back. So if this reverses, then it doesn't reverses back easily unless there is anything major catastrophic event, otherwise it doesn't reverses, because then it's like you can say it would start trending on upside. There has to be, there's always a change, like there was uptrend and then Fed said that they are stopping QE. It's a big event and market reacted, and then the trend changes. When there was COVID, it was a major event, unforeseen event. It collapsed in March 2020, right? February to March period, devastating. But so, of course, we would have a nice uptrend, but if there is any major event, then it changes. And similarly, then if the market can there are major event like inflation is in control, more interest in crypto, any other positive institution buyers start pouring in, regulation allows them to put more money, so many different positive catalysts could ignite the uptrend, and then carry on for a few months or maybe a couple of years and so on. So talking about higher time frame, so the wait time is higher. However, once it turns green, then you can be more relaxed because it doesn't turn red easily unless there's any major event. So yeah, so that's a quick look. Now we use Bitstamp version for our long term. So let's have a look at Bitstamp chart. I don't have drawing at this moment. I think I hate them. I think I had to make a new one. So right now, I think simple thing is this is because of FTX. Now let me talk about FTX and other thing a little bit. There's some fundamentals. I'm of course I'm focusing only on major updates, not like too detailed like this firm, that firm. There can be one firm or 10 firm or 100 firm. I'll just try to extract out information. So the whole all this drama is because of the FTX, but it's not just about FTX. It's about any entity who has uh, who is leveraging, who was leveraging and still leveraging. We don't know who all are leveraging. So if they leverage, when you leverage, you know that you have to have some asset as a collateral. So if the price drops up from at certain price, like then there's always a liquidation price. And what gets liquidated is the collateral. Because what is liquidation means, you have to, when you are leveraging, you are basically borrowing, and the lender would expect money back, right? So you have to show the collateral. Sometimes lender are so greedy that they don't look for the proper collateral, that person has really good. So then the real problem starts, the big problem. So for an example, if you do the leverage trading, if price drops below liquidation price, then they take your money total, and then you say you are liquidated. So the lender is not at loss because they get your money, right? You are liquidated. So that's how, so they are never in loss. But in recent time, what happens, the lenders were also so greedy. Forget about the borrower. Borrower, of course, greedy, but even the lenders were so greedy, they didn't even pay attention to the collateral. So then what happens, then the chain reaction starts. And I mean, you can study the subject, but as I said, I'm just extracting the essentials here. That and I've been saying, if you are, I think you know that I've been saying that the whole pump or this market is driven by credit money and leverage money. And that's why, because there is no reason why crypto should pump this much compared to any traditional asset. I mean, it looks so amazing, but the reality is, why any asset would go up by 20%? What fundamental change that asset has, which would drive the price to 20%? If you ask that question, then there is no answer, because there's no reason. So it's all, somebody is just pouring money and then pushing the price up and up, then sometimes it's chain reaction and goes off, like whole euphoria stuff. So that's what happened, which is fine. Why it's fine? Because we have technical analysis in hand, so we take advantage of it. So we know there is craziness in the market, but we are taking advantage of craziness. So I'm you know what, I'm criticizing the crypto space, which is like inflated, which is like, ideally, I'm no one to say what should be the price, but even the current price is inflated to me, if you ask me, because to me, my real measurement is the utility. What are you utilizing? So for an example, if you buy something from your shop, you pay because you are going to use that stuff. So there's utility right away. So you are exchanging value. You're paying for something because it's going to give you some kind of utility. And when you buy something in crypto, then question is it being utilized? And answer is no. That's my only simple reason why I say anything that is not being utilized is overvalued. And that's why, even with this so much of drop, I believe that the whole entire crypto is highly inflated, and which is fine, as I said, because now the technical analysis part comes in play, that because TA allows us to see certain scenarios which usually there is no way to measure, because there's no fundamental tied up with this. So that's why I think we increase the probability of winning. In other words, we increase our chances to win, right? So that's why. And as I said, if there is craziness, and we take advantage of that craziness, otherwise it's impossible to make 100x or 50x, whatever, 10x even, in matter of months. How is it possible, right? It's impossible unless there is people who are pumping without reason. So that's my take. But as I said, I separate out two things. There is craziness, but we have to take advantage of that craziness, and also we have to be aware of those, aware the risk of those craziness, because it's always two-side story, right? So things like FTX happen, we had to be careful, and sometimes there's no way to escape. And I know certain people who lost fund, unfortunately, right? So it can happen to anyone, but that's the thing. You end up gaining something big, which normally is impossible to gain, whether it's stock market or any bond market, any other asset. So you get something impossible, and also in return, negatively speaking, you get also sometimes something unforeseen. So it's a, yeah, so there's always, it's a two-edged sword, so we have to be careful. Anyway, so coming back to my earlier topic, so over leverage is the reason why. So, and we don't know how many players are actually involved. Let's say tomorrow Grayscale might come up with something. If they have something to hide, you never know. Only thing is, there would be some bad players which are not caught yet. I think these guys got because they shorted, and because Bitcoin bounced, and they were on the wrong side, and that's why they caught up. So, but if they were in right direction, probably they survive. But these people messed up. Probably didn't have good TA. Why they were shorting, I had no reason when there was no shorting, but they were shorting. So they hurt themselves, and they hurt the lenders, and they hurt everyone. And the worst thing is they were using customer money, and that's why the panic was widespread. If they were using their own money, company goes and comes and goes, who cares? Then probably wouldn't care. But it 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 hurts when people lose money. So if they would have lost their own money, probably we would not be talking this much. But I think it's serious matter because they use people's money. So that's why it's no good at all. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, the risk is not gone. We don't know who all are exposed. As I said, so other entity, large entity could be there. Only one thing that I see which is very positive at this moment is the inflation is peaking out. I'm not saying it's going down or crashing, but if you look at dollar index, it is way below than its peak, right? Mm, we can have a quick look at it. It's here. Look at, this is the peak, and we had this resistance, and we have been tracking very closely. It's not dead yet, I know. It's this has hit, but the point is this has weakened a lot. And if it goes down a little further, then I think it's gone. So, but clearly it's indicating that things are improving for stocks and crypto, because dollar index is weakening. And the bond yields are other factors. That's another, so to speak, uh, adversary for crypto, is the bond yields, and need to also go down. I think they are also topping out. Based on my analysis, they haven't topped out. There's a difference. Topping out means it's a process of topping out. Topped out means you say it has left behind the top. Okay, so be careful when I use this terminology. Topping out means it's a process of topping out, right? So it's like you're running and you're tired. That kind of you haven't stopped, okay, or you haven't returned back. You're tired, so which is a good sign. So it's a process, right? It's not that somebody is running. There is a sign that your energy goes down. So wave is like that. If you look at any uptrend, for example, or downtrend, it has energy, okay? And the uptrend, when I say topping out, means it's showing the sign of losing energy, the momentum, right? And that's something we take as a first sign, but it doesn't mean it's topped out. Because then, for an example, the running analogy, if you're running, if you're tired, right, you may stop, right? Stop means pause, or take rest, or maybe you slow down your running. And so that's consolidation. Remember, that's consolidation, not necessarily you're going to stop your journey. And so similarly, if you look at this wave, I think that you see these are like correction. All this correction are stoppages. This is like energy gathering. You see, this is also down for a couple of weeks. This is like 4 or 5 weeks, but this is not, it's so gone down price wise, percentage wise, but not done with the trend. So you see, this is you're running, for example, and then in between you're taking pauses, you slows down, gather energy, drink some juice or whatever, and get energy, and continue like that. But this is really a big kick, right? That's how we should interpret or visualize, so to speak, in a non-technical manner. So running analogy, I think, makes sense. So yeah, so the it's important that we understand whether it's tired, taking pause, or deciding to go reverse, backtrack, basically. So that kind of a thing we had to, but it's a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight. So one cannot say, hey, this is the top. No, it's impossible. It's just assumption. You cannot say. But yeah, sometime even I made a couple of mistakes in saying I tried to go beyond my script and say bottom or top. Luckily, I was not grossly, I mean, wrong or not wrong side, which is good thing. But um, I should not be saying that being a technique, because it's like kind of out of script. I should be saying potential top or topping out. That kind of terminology is more suitable. But it's saying this is the top is something good. Probably I rarely use that term. Anyway, so that's how it is. So DXY, talking DXY is melting. Of course, it's going down, and this drop is no ordinary drop, and this is more like a dead cat bounce. It's nowhere near the height where it can recover. It has to go far, like 110, 113 kind of, which I haven't measured, but it has to go up much higher for it to hurt. So to me, this is a potential downtrend, beginning of the potential downtrend, and somewhere here 103, 104, if it breaks, it will kind of confirm, right? But we can say, so there's a reason for us to celebrate one way. And coming back to my previous topic, because this was essential, everything is connected. Why I was saying, even people are greedy, even people are making mistake. Their mistake can be corrected if the macroeconomic factor like this, inflation and all, everything related, improves. Because if provided if they are on the right side of the trade, of course, right, that's always given. But so if the macro environment improves and they go long, even they leverage, their mistakes will be kind of, never known. So that's my take. So those who are in trouble at this moment, they can survive simply because there is a potential reversal we are going to see. And that's why. So it's like somebody is really badly affected or injured, but you get an ambulance or some kind of help to carry. So you're not walking, but somehow you got a vehicle which would let you continue your journey, so to speak. So those who are in distress will get additional help, and because the market will get more liquidity, so people would bet on even something which is riskier. That's what happens. So yeah, right now people are keeping the cash because the market condition is not good. So that's what happens. So even FTX is down. I have no clue, but you never know. If the market condition improves, there could be some people who would bet and try to give money to something. I'm not talking about FTX alone. I'm just FTX as an example. And you never know, FTT like coin, which is not near zero, not like Luna. Who knows? It could recover. So if there's funding, you never know in this game. But I'm not saying that I'm not trying to say FTT will come back, return back to its previous high. And what I'm saying is, when there is excess, when the liquidity returns back, you never know, even those distressed asset could also get a benefit, because somebody will try to buy something and then try to revive. You never know. Anyway, so I think these points are relevant to the BTC. So I wanted to cover that. Yeah, let's go back to our BTC weekly. So this is, we had assumed that this is a potential bottom, right? As I explained, on a lower time frame, unless we see it start coming down, because this is weekly green. If weekly green, there is no need to assume that's going down, right? Weekly green, we have to say this is, if turns red, then yeah, then it's a different story. So we must say this is recovery. Why not? And there's no need to think about doomsday or any downside. And we know that it goes down, it could go down to up to 12K, 10K. I have levels up to 6,600 as well, 6,000. And there's no end to it, because technical analysis offer you to think about lowest possible level and highest possible level. So those are possibility, not probability. We always talk about probability. I mean, we do touch base the possible scenarios, but the probability is very important, right? And possibility wise, you can think of anything. Okay, so that's I think that's good enough in my opinion from a Bitcoin point of view. Right. So we have to right now. Personally, I don't have huge expectation. My only expectation is this thing doesn't turn red, this green candle, and doesn't try to approach the low, June low. That's my least expectation. And this kind of small expectation actually is very healthy, because once it make progress, let's say next week or so, in next couple of weeks, we can say, okay, now we can look for a higher target and so on, right? So at this moment, so it's like you are in ICU. What you don't think about gym, you don't think about going to the gym, right? You think that, okay, when can I walk, when can I eat properly, right? You don't want to get into coma or something, like worst case scenario, if you are in the hospital, if you're hospitalized. So that's how we think about our health. And that's how I think about crypto health, that my least expectation is, can I start walking, can I start eating if I'm in hospital, right, if bedridden. At this moment, I'm not thinking about running or jogging or gym. That's totally unrealistic. And also, I don't want to think that I'm going to have worse than what I am in terms of health. Why? Because I'm being treated, right? So why should I think otherwise? So that has to be signed. Then only I would think about negative scenario. So likewise, so I'm trying to give different analogies. So you think from the real life examples, so that makes more simpler and easier, and relate that the same with the health of a coin or health of a trend. Because let me tell you, universal, these are universal things. Format is different, it's one and the same thing if you think holistically. So that's my least expectation, and that's actually practical, pragmatic approach. um yeah, we can do fancy thing, but you don't need fancy stuff here. There can be fancy fancy drawing. You don't need. I'm trying to simplify, and some simple things are good, always beautiful. Okay, so I think we covered the Bitcoin. Now let's move into altcoin and see what they're doing. So starting with Atom, we are going through. I think we should start by alphabetical. Yeah, Atom first. Now this is still red, fine, but you see this is a support it's getting here, right? So which is fine. I'm not going to add more support, as I mentioned. If you add more support, there's no limit, because this is my lower limit, this is my upper limit. The range could be anywhere in between, so it's not important. So I had my this support, so my expectation is I would like it to go back to this level, return back to this level and sit somewhere here. Then I'll say Atom is back in the game. That's why. So approach point of view, that right now I would say fine, it's no, so this is my reference point, last week's low, and this is my reference point. Now this is nowhere in, so it happens, right? It's nowhere, and we don't know, and which is totally fine, but we know the range. So when it goes up about this, then we say, okay, it's back. If it goes below, then we'll say it's continuing. And that's a simple approach. So whatever I said for Atom, assume that's the same for other coins. So I won't be repeating, because approach is same. They could be different in terms of strength, right? So what you see the June low, some coin might be pretty good at pretty well, far away, like this one, Some coin might be closed, some might have made new low. We'll see if there is, but that's the only difference. So look at that. AVAX as an example made new low. So we had this support last week. It touched this one and tried to break above, and the prior support is the resistance, as you could see. So this is also range. So this is your range for AVAX, right? And so on. BNB not broken. So from a pattern point of view, if this support is not broken, then you can expect it to move in this direction. Not in a straight line like this, more like a sideways movement like this. Something like that. The angle could be different. As I said, no one should be attempting to predict the path, because the path could be different. These are the point. This is point A, this is point B, point C. So journey is from point A to point B to point C. It could go from here and then here. The path could be anything, and that's totally, nobody knows. Yeah, you can draw certain patterns and say this is a potential path, and that's what we are attempting here. Based on the pattern, we are trying to attempt here, but no way we are saying this is the ultimate path, right? The focus is the direction, the focus is the point, not the path. But yeah, this looks good. Sometime our mind is so funny. Our mind loves to see path. If I don't draw this path, it's not so interesting. But if I draw path, because mind wants clarity. If I remove this, mind doesn't like it because this void. Oh, how is it going to move? If I add this, oh, this is more like a placebo. You know the placebo, right? The it's not a real pill, but placebo. I'm not trying to cheat anyone, but based on a pattern. But what nobody knows the path, but I'm projecting this path based on a pattern. But this is more or less like a placebo, not real thing. The real thing is we want point B and then point C. That's so these levels are real. These are real resistance. Real resistance. Path is not real. This is just projection, or more like imagination. But mind likes it. Oh, mind feels, oh, you know what? This is how I'm going to move. Psychological. So I'll skip it for fun. Okay, CRO made new low. So what I can do, we can add a line and a recent low, and the previous support was turned out to be resistance. C got rejected, which is totally fine and expected behavior. And then of course, if this is broken, then the next is this. And CRO has gone down for its own fundamental reasons, because of a lot of speculation. Speculation could have reality, we don't know. But yeah, they could be in trouble. As I said, they could be in trouble, but sometimes if the overall market environment improves, then they can sail through. That's what happens. Yeah. So for an example, I'm in trouble, let's say financially, hypothetically speaking, and you have a lot of money, and then you say, okay, you know what, he has no money, he has no money, but I know he has talent. So if I put money, with his talent, he can strike back, he can bounce back, and then I'll get my reward. And that's what happens in the market. People bet on the people and the team and the project and sometimes concept, so on infrastructure, whatever, some kind of asset like human resource or asset or the intellectual asset, and they bet on them, even though they are in trouble, because they think that if things improve, then they'll get the reward out of it, because they'll get something in cheaper price, and then they'll on the benefit. Of course, those who are betting would calculate that what is the risk and all, on whether to finance that guy or project or company or not. That's something lender would decide. But that's what happens, not in crypto, in general business. Okay, the next is Doge. So the Doge has come back, almost reset this one, but see, it maintained the support line, which is good. And this pump was because of Twitter euphoria, right? So that's what happens when there's news, whether it's a if bad news, then it, so it's, I think this is excellent example. This is a good news, Twitter, because everybody anticipated now Elon is going to add Doge as a payment solution for Twitter for any commercial service. So it pumped in anticipation and then pumped. I mean, this is reset it. And of course, FTX issue played a major role in pulling down this much, but still, it didn't continue. So news event would have some effect, but not ever lasting, not a trend changer. Those news events could be for a few days. Similarly, CRO, this is news event, news or reality, whatever. But point is, it was beaten down more than other for a reason. We have Sol coin. That's also same thing. It was beaten down because it was a collateral. So I explained the collateral part in the Bitcoin. So sometimes this Crow is a real problem. It could be a real problem. FTT is a real problem. We know Crow could be a real problem. Sol is not a real problem, right? I'm jumping the gun, but just to take the example on Sol. So Sol is also down. This is but this is not because of the project. This is because they were staking, and this was the part of collateral, and that's why they had to sell off, because the collateral has to be sold off to get the liquidity so they can pay to the lender. That's why this is under pressure. And sometimes, so I don't want to analyze Sol, will come back, but just wanted to take a quick reference connecting the topics, that when there's good news, it pumps. When there's bad news, it drops. But we have to be aware that this could be short term. We have to make sure that, is it because the trend is, it dropped because of the trend change, or is drop because there's bad news, right? If or some or if it pumped, then if it is good news. So they reset sometimes and then ultimately follow the trend. That's what happens. Yeah, if the bad news is permanent, like bad news means something like is damaging, then they never recover. So it depends on the degree of the damage. But yeah, sometimes even rumor, like in case of Crow, we don't have evidence, but there can be a rumor would bring down the price. And when the rumor brings down the price, that becomes opportunity. Okay. DOT made new low. I won't draw line. Oh, okay, I'll draw a line because there's no new line. So I'll draw a line. Fine. This is range bound, small range. No, nothing major though. Drop, but nothing major. And each and every coin drops, so nothing major. But we had called out that this is the top before it dropped, because BTC started melting. So I called out all the recent high is the resistance. So that's why orange line, all of the places. So we were a step ahead much before the FTX drama. Right. So this also made new low. So maybe I'll add one more marginally. Nothing major. It's because I need not have to draw, because this is still above this. So as I mentioned, I'll draw one line, but I don't want to clutter the chart by adding, because this is the ultimate reference point. So nothing to worry in this case. ETH, same story. I'm not going to add. We have already so many lines. So now it's here. It has to break above this cluster. Ideally, it has to break above this. Filecoin. So Filecoin is still on the support, which is fine. I had provided additional support probably just in case, because this was near the support. So I think, oh yeah, I remember. I think I provided because it was requested. So on a channel, I said, if you want lower, then ask me. And then some of you asked, and then I provided. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's fine. So these are valid supports, but at this moment, these supports are low probability because even this is not broken. So out of question, no need to think about this at this moment. Flux retested the low. You see this low is retested. So yeah, I think we can add one line. It makes sense now because this is critical. We don't want it to break below because then it will be new low, and you have these levels. At this pattern point of view, I mean, you can say this is double bottom, pure double bottom. So this is low and this is double bottom all the way, right? So still in the game. FDM. Also these levels were requested, so I offered. But at this moment, it's not required. Yeah. HNT, I had offered the level, and you see the perfect hit. Yeah, this is technical. Awesome. Perfectly. I just see, actually, I didn't see anything until now. Perfect hit. So this is good news, right? If somebody is interested, I'll give you the lower, because if nobody's interested, I don't want to work on it unnecessarily. So drop a note on chat or say I'm interested in lower HNT, then I'll give. But at this moment, you don't need to because it's still above. But if you are interested, I'll give you, but only if it breaks below. Then ask me. I'm happy to provide. But at this moment, you don't need it. Yeah. Okay, so you know the next level, right? This one, prior support is the next level, next resistance, and this one, and so on. So if it breaks above, then we'll share more. KCS, I think KCS went down. My hunch is because they assume that the KCS is also in trouble. I mean, KuCoin is also in trouble. So that could be a speculative. So this could be speculative move. And as I said, you never know who all are involved in this mess. They could be exposed somehow, directly, indirectly. You never know. But yeah, I'm sure this drop was because of the speculation that exchange like KuCoin could be involved. And yeah, link still on holding the support, maintaining the June low, which is good. All right, so there's no, somebody had asked for lower level, so I had showed this. Matic is awesome, right? I have this one. Okay, so it dipped like any other coin, try to break above, and then look at that reaction. Start by whom? Prior support, which is resistance, which is perfect. Now, if you look at the pattern, I think similar to BNB, this could go like this, like this. Now, this could go from here on. So this could go sideways and then go up. We'll have to see. It could dip like this and go up. We don't know the exact path. So it could be like all the way here to here, but the direction is this. So maybe I'll keep this in between, something like this. The important thing is we track these levels. That's it. And then this level is important because if this is broken above, that means it's looking for the higher level. So horizontal levels make sense. Sand is in a good mood. Oh, so it perfect hit. All right, perfect hit. Again, retest, not broken yet, and a nice 5% move today, which is encouraging. Right. So what is next? Next is the next level, whatever is 0.698. That's the next level. So looking good. Yeah, this weekly candle is shaping up pretty well. So they all have to work harder. I mean, you see there, so that's why I was saying our expectation is they don't make new low. And that is, I think, fair expectation. And touches whatever is the immediate next. That is fair expectation. Next week, we'll see. Right. Sol is a little surprising, but I think it's distressed because of the reason I mentioned. It's a victim. To me, I'm not favoring Sol, just a disclaimer. But let me tell you, if market recovers, and as I said, Sol is being sold because it's used in collateral and cashing cash. That's why it's in, not because of the platform itself is in trouble. So in that scenario, this offers the highest amount of opportunity, because personally, I never imagined I would see this when it was trying to bounce, to be honest, when it was here. All this FTX stuff brought down this, and then to me, it's a bonus. But what we don't know is if they're still holding as collateral and they still need to sell, then it could go down even further. That's something we don't know because we don't know the seller, right? And of course, from a TA point of view, I cannot say this is awesome. No way I can say that, because especially this week, it was bouncing. But at this moment, I cannot say that this is awesome because it dipped further, right? But I can say that if it doesn't continue moving down like this, then the same becomes, I mean, the opposite is true. Then it becomes awesome coin, because who you get $13. We were not going to get in 13 if FTX didn't happen. So I think that way, this is bonus, but understand that we don't know who all could liquidate further. That's the only underlying risk. So keeping in mind, and we have two more levels, the around 8.5 and around 5.1. These are technical levels, so we have to watch out that. So with that note, I think I'm done with the active list. So I believe I covered everything that I wanted. Let me know if you have any question.
Hey Mehik, please can you scale SQL?
Oh, we don't do request-based analysis, so I'll
Sorry.